Hey, everybody. It's Patty Jobervolsky with Up Your Creative Genius. Oh my gosh. Today I have Dolphinine here. You know, Julia Johnson, the amazing Julia Johnson, who most of you follow on Instagram, but if you don't already, you got to follow her, Dolphinine. She is transformation in amazement. Like it's just like you changed everything. It's so cool to see you and have you on the show. I can't wait to hear all the tips and tricks that you're going to share with us about how you were able to shift your mindset and shift your life. So welcome to the show, Julia. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Patty. It's so nice to be here with you. Always fun, always fun.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I want to start off so people can get to know you a little bit. Tell us your story, really, tell us about you, from whenever in your childhood up to now, what happened to you and who are you? So we get to touch and feel you, even through our audio.
Yeah. So, we all have a life story, and mine was not, I didn't think so unusual because I lived through it. But after you live through certain things and realize, wow, I survived that.
Yeah.
And other people say, wow, you survived that. So what I survived was childhood diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Diagnosed at age 11. And I was a very brittle case, which meant my blood sugars were very hard to control. Plus, this was in the 60s, where children who got diabetes, there wasn't a lot of diabetes research, and it was considered an old person's disease. So I took one insulin shot a day that was supposed to cover me for 24 hours of activity and food. And, kids run around a lot, and I was a very active kid. Well, I got complications starting at like age 25. My kidneys started to fail.
Whoa.
In my late 20s, I started to go blind with diabetic blindness.
Oh my gosh.
And I had nerve damage and all these things. I mean, my hands were like claws, and I had black floaters in my vision. And, by the time I was 30, my kidneys were like failing, and the doctors had warned me I was headed that direction, but I was just like, I mean, it seems so far away.
Yeah. You're in your 20s. You're invincible, right?
We all are in our 20s.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought, well, one day.
That's
and
right.
We always think of old as being like, well, in our 80s or whatever. It was kind of that way off in the future. I don't have to deal with it now. But
yeah,
by the time I was in my early 30s, the kidneys had failed, and they said, you've also got heart disease, and we are going to recommend that you get a kidney transplant. Otherwise, you'll be on dialysis with diabetes, and that's going to be maybe a 5-year lifespan from now. So
wow, that is crazy.
Yeah. I wasn't going to live to see 40. And
wow,
they were doing experimental pancreas transplants for their diabetic patients that needed a kidney. And they told me the risks involved. And of course, my husband and I went in and talked to all the specialists and all the teams. And he basically said, it needs to be your choice. But the risks were that I could die before, during, or after the surgery because I had heart disease. And I just thought, I don't want to live with diabetes anymore. I mean, I can get a new kidney, but I can't live with this disease anymore.
Wow.
It was just eroding my quality of life every year. And so I decided I'll risk it. I'll do this experimental double organ transplant. And
oh my
as
God.
We can tell,
you are today. Woo! All right.
It worked.
That is so well. And
that was 30 years ago, Patty.
Wow.
30 years ago. And then,
my gosh.
In the meantime, at age 48, my heart really got clogged. And part of the clogging was from high cholesterol, which runs in my family, and the heart disease from diabetes that gets exacerbated. And then some of the medications I was on for anti-rejection also contributed. So by the time I was 48, my arteries were so clogged that
Wow.
I had a hard time breathing.
Yeah.
I didn't want heart surgery.
Yeah.
Because they actually saw you. Oh,
I know. I remember at that time you got sawed open. They crack your ribs and open you up, right?
Yeah, it's just, and then
Oh.
another human handles your heart, which actually causes depression in people for a couple of years afterwards. But
Oh,
I
wow.
had,
That's crazy. So when
yeah,
somebody holds your heart, it causes depression?
for about 2 years afterwards.
What do you think that's about? I mean, that
Well,
is like insane.
that's your most intimate sort of physiological connection to your spirit, I think, is your
Wow.
heart.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
um there's been studies that have shown, for instance, men that are heavy drinkers or
Yes.
recreational drug takers, I guess you would call them,
Users.
users. Yeah, if they end up having a heart attack, going into the ER, and the doctor's like, we got to do a bypass right now. When they wake up, they are psychotic. And there is always a psychiatrist on hand to handle those patients, because it's so prevalent that,
Wow.
when you're out of balance anyway, and then
Yep.
somebody, but luckily I'm not a drug user, don't drink. So when I
Wow.
came out and I expected the surgery, these are men patients that didn't expect the surgery, and then
Right.
all of a
Right. But
sudden
you
they
were
have it.
ready. You went in for it, right? You
Well,
knew that
I wasn't really ready. What happened was, Patty, was I kept putting it off, and I tried everything. I tried chelation therapy, which is supposed to
yeah. Yeah.
clean
Clean you out.
your blood, which
Mhm.
wasn't going to work for me. I did Dean Ornish's heart healthy diet for a couple of months, and then one day, because I just didn't want to be, and have that invasive surgery. And
Yeah.
in my mind, I thought, oh, I can get around this. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I had an episode one day where I couldn't breathe, and I had to call an ambulance, go to the ER, because I was sure I was having a heart attack. And
Whoa.
I went into the ER, and I've told this story a couple of times. This is how other people help us. This little Filipino nurse was in the ER taking care of me. And she said, she was so sweet. She said, what, dear, what are you in here for? And I said, well, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she said, well, I've looked at your chart. It looks like you need a triple bypass. Why aren't you scheduled for a triple bypass? I said, I'm really afraid. I just don't want to have it done. And she looked at me and then unbuttoned her little nurse uniform to about here and opened it up. She had this like scar.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I've had a bypass. It's not that big a deal. And I'm like, she can do it. I can do it.
That's
so
right.
she
That's right.
changed me like that. Just like,
Wow.
boom.
Wow. Isn't that amazing how people can do stuff like that? Like you can see someone and they'll say something and then boom, you're ready to do it right at that moment. It's like if you have a little role model for stuff, it's much easier.
It's so much easier. And
Yeah.
just her whole attitude.
Yeah. So you went in and had the surgery. You did it.
I did schedule it after that episode, but it was because of her, because she was tiny like me. I mean, short, and she was just so soft spoken. And to her, it was no big. And everybody kept saying, a bypass is routine these days. And I'm thinking to myself, if you were going to get sawed open on your sternum, you think that's routine? Everybody says it's routine. It's not routine.
Well, everybody thinks any kind of surgery now is routine. And I'm like, no, routine. Really, they're cutting you open and then they're doing something with some part of you.
Right.
And, that's everything like that is invasive. It is.
Yeah, it's hugely invasive.
So you had the surgery and you survived, because here you are and you've got a beautiful scar, because I've seen it in your Instagram posts, all your scars and your fantastic body. So you did that, and then your health seemed to go great. And then what? What happened?
I pretty much have maintained good health my whole life. I've always been athletic and active and ate well, but then you hit menopause and they took my thyroid out, and I just was having other adventures in life, and I didn't have
Oh
like,
gosh.
I didn't have like a working program that I
Yeah.
did in my early 40s, and I was really healthy and I was lifting weights, but blah, blah, blah. So 20 years went by living in Saudi Arabia, Mexico. And when I got to Mexico, there just something went off in my head. I was 62. I
Yeah.
knew in 2 years it was going to be my 30-year anniversary from the transplant. And I thought, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have a lot of time left. I need to stop messing around and really take care of this body, which is the chariot for my soul. I mean, this is like the temple I live. I need to start taking care. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that I was disgusted. I didn't look in the mirror and go, oh God, I've got to lose weight. I've got to getting shape. It was just like, I need to start loving this body with every ounce I have. It's gone through
Wow.
so much. It's taken me so much, taken me through life in so many situations.
Yeah.
And from day one, I was like, I was who I am now. In other words, I made this mind shift. I call it the nanosecond boom mind shift. It was
Oh,
just like,
wow. Wow.
boom. I was already her, and her was lean, strong, healthy, vital, energetic, grateful, and joyous. And it wasn't about, oh, this many pounds less, this much muscle. It was really about the whole consciousness of living in
Wow.
a body that's being cared for through
I love
self-love.
that. I love that because I think that we all, yesterday I was leading a Draw Your Future session, and a woman in the session said, how can I stop myself from looking in the mirror every day and saying, oh, you're so, that neck and you're so wrinkly and all that. And I said, well, you have to understand that this is your body. And it's done so many things to get you this far. So you have to appreciate it and love it. And all of that comes with it, all the wrinkles and all the tiredness and whatever it is that you've gone through, it's transparent in your physical form. And so if you can fill yourself with joy and love, you can transform your outer form too. And that's
It's
what you're
true.
talking about. You changed your mindset. And so then, but wait a minute, because then you changed your mindset and then you started to work out. That's
Right.
what happened is
Right.
that you weren't just working out your regular way, like walking your dog and maybe running every so often and riding your bike with your husband, Paul, but you went out and you started to really seriously train. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about you and how you started to train. And I wanted to know, like, how did you begin to lift weights and do that? What did you do? What did you start with?
Yeah, a lot of people on Instagram will message me and say, I don't know how to start. And I wouldn't have known how to start unless I found this online challenge. It was a Facebook challenge with a coach that had written a book in the 90s. And I won't mention his name, but he had a very successful book.
Yes.
And he had an online challenge, and I joined the challenge. It was a 3-month, and it was for people over 40. And he had modified the exercises to be easy on the joints for people. And I thought, this sounds perfect. So I got in with a community of people that were wonderful. And this coach would, check our forms sort of informally, but it was a community. And then I went to one of his camps. And what I found out was after 3 months, I won the challenge.
Oh, wow. That's
that was
fantastic.
Yeah. And I didn't even know there was going to be a winner. I just thought, we'll do this for 3 months and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I fell in love with the weightlifting. And then I stalled after about those first 4 months. It took me 4 months to lose 10 pounds, which is actually very healthy.
Yep.
And so I stalled after that. And so I started looking around for what I needed to up my game, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
So from then until now, it's been a constant, I would say, discovery of what can I do next? How can I up my game? What more do I need to learn? So I'm a lifelong learner. I just really love to learn things. And so this is the thing about fitness. there's there's no end all
No.
be all.
Well, and you would learn so much about your body and then what food and your body changes all the time. And I think
It
people think,
does.
oh, you get into a routine, then that routine works, but you can plateau at any point. And so you always have to challenge yourself and push yourself in some other ways. And so that's what you did. And then you actually got a really great coach, and she helped you to enter some bodybuilding competitions. And so
Yeah.
tell us what that was like to go to your first bodybuilding
Oh my
competition.
gosh. Well, first of all, my local friend and coach here, before I found the woman that I'm working with now, he's the one that suggested to be in a competition.
Yeah.
Because he saw me working out really hard every day, and he was helping me and working with me. Because when I went into the gym, he said, well, what are your goals? I said, I want to be really lean and strong. And when I started getting lean and strong, he's like, you need to be in a competition. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you need to be in a Masters Bikini NPC competition. I'm like, bikini? What, 63 in a bikini on stage? I don't think so. But
I love that. I'm going to do that. I think that's a good challenge for everybody to have. The woman that was in the talk that I gave yesterday, that's what she did. She bought a vacation for her whole family where they would have to wear their swimsuits so that they could all get in shape to go.
Oh, that's great.
I think that's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So well, bikini challenge.
In the back of my head was, who wants to see a 63-year-old in a bikini, But what I found out was that there's in the fitness world, and people who work out and other coaches and other women of all ages who work out have a super great appreciation for a woman my age who works as hard as they do to get in shape. So I found my coach who got me there. There's coaches have so many different levels and things that they do. Some are just lifestyle, like get fit, lose weight, eat better. And some are get fit to have a photo shoot and then, live your life more sensibly, eating and working out. And then there's contest prep coaches, which is what she did for me. And that was amazing, Patty, because my body transformed in a way I never would have imagined.
And I saw some of those posts with you working these like little tiny muscles in there just with one particular way of lifting the weight. It's very impressive.
You could see everything because what you do is you really strip away all the body fat. The body fat gets really low. Yeah. And you're mostly just muscle, and then they tan you, and that makes it even more. It's just kind of a hilarious thing. I remember, I wrote you a text and you said, I'm just about to go into the tanning booth. And I was just like cracking up. Tanning booth. Okay. We're not going to talk about whether that's good for you or not. You're going into the tanning booth. I love it. I love it. But then you get on stage, you do the competition, and in your category, you take first place. Yes, I did, because I was the only competitor.
But still first place. All right. And then you did it again, though. You went to a different city and you did it again.
Yeah.
And competed with other women your age.
Yeah. And I came in third, there were only 3 of us. So I came in last, but I absolutely loved the experience. For me, it wasn't about winning. It was just about, Patty, all my body's gone through, and all the times I laid in ICU thinking, am I ever going to get out of here? Am I going to survive this experience? Yeah. And then to be on stage with this joy of, look what my body, I wasn't proud of myself. I was proud of my body. Look what it can do. Yeah. And it was in the realm of just mind over matter, spirit willing, flesh having to obey. Yeah. And it was such a triumph for me, and a triumph for my organ donor. And I was so joyous. It was such a great experience for me. It had nothing to do with being in a competition, getting a medal, getting a trophy. That's like,
Yeah.
that's just sort of the fun part. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the icing on the cake.
That's right. Well, the part of it that I love is that you really upped your creative genius. You really tapped your creative genius, and it took form in your physical body. And I think that's part of it is we underutilize our imagination because we think, oh, your imagination, you're just imagining that and daydreaming that. Well,
Right.
hey, guess what? Your
Yeah.
imagination is power. It is really the fuel behind everything that you become. And so when you realize that, then you can leverage it. So
Mhm.
even when you're in, and as a bike racer, this is what I would do. Like I would imagine that a black bear was chasing me.
Oh,
And
wow.
a white bear was running in front of me and guiding me, because I felt like I needed somebody to chase me so I could go faster. And I needed, something I was scared of. And honestly, black bears scare me. Right. And a white polar bear, just in front of me to just show me, come on, you can do this. And I think, and people say, oh, well, whatever you can do to trick your brain into overcoming the moment where it feels very challenging, because there's no doubt that your body gets fatigued, and there's a part of your brain that's like, oh yeah, well, now is the time to just give up, or why don't you get some water now instead of pushing through the last 5 reps, or just really blowing it out until, we would always say, if you taste blood in your mouth, that you've really gone to the limit in bike racing in a time trial. Right. And everybody would be
Wow.
like, oh my God, that's so gross. But that's how you know that you've
Yeah.
really changed your oxygen level. And part of that is that you have to know that your body can take it. And the only way is if you believe, which is part of what you did. You believed that you were that person, and then you stepped into it. And
Right.
so beautifully, and so in such a disciplined way. But what was your day like? What's a day in the life of Julia when you're in this training state? What do you do? How does it go? You wake up and then what?
Well, I always say day in and day out, because the consistent behaviors and repetitive positive actions we do, that's how we transform. And
Right.
I mean, I review my workout the night before, and I just can't wait. Sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm thinking it's too early to go to the gym.
It's not open yet.
But I want to. I want to
Yeah.
go to the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
I'm so I'm excited, and I think part of it is just the joy of movement and working my body and feeling good and
Yeah.
having energy. And I love to dance. So there's something about that too. I just really like movement and being able to use my body. It makes me feel alive. And I have an important why. My why. Why do I do this? Why do I get up every morning? And I'm just like, I can't wait to go to the gym. And some people are like, oh, I just don't want to go to the gym. I never feel that way. And it's because I'm grateful to be alive. That's what I am so grateful. And why do I get up every morning and go to the gym? Because I can. I do it for my organ donor. I do it for, and now that I have I don't know how this Instagram thing blew up, Patty, but somehow,
I know, but you have so many hundreds of thousands of followers. It's
not
crazy,
hundreds,
but you've got thousands of followers.
Yeah, like 24,000.
And that is insane. And that only just happened. That's the thing. It just happened
in the last 6 to 9 months. And I think it's because my story inspires people. If I can do it, they can do it.
That's right. And I think
do it.
That's right. And I think there are a lot of women that out there our age who are thinking, oh, life's over, or now we're on the downflow. Now I can just rest and relax and whatever. Well, yeah, but you have a service in the world. So if you haven't figured out what your service is, because even if you retire, you still are in service. to
Right.
life, right? And
Right.
so you got to figure that
Absolutely.
out. And you have
Yeah.
to be in service to yourself,
Right.
who you are, and so that you love yourself. I think many of us, we spent so many years not really loving ourselves. We say we love ourselves, but we don't. The way you love yourself is that you care for yourself,
Right.
that you
Right.
that you go to the gym and you work out, and that you eat well. And when you don't want to eat well, that's okay too. That you
Yeah.
get right back into the flow of drinking a lot of water and getting enough sleep, and things that we know will make us perform at our optimum level. And
Yeah.
so, that I think is something that you are just demonstrating in such a big and bold way that people can't wait to follow you. I mean, like the posts that the before, my favorite are the before and after posts, because we see you just like 2 years ago. And then now it's like, whoa, you did that in 2 years.
It
in 2
amazes
years.
me. It
I know.
amazes me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Patty, before I was like every other woman that we've been on this diet and that diet and la la la, and
Yep.
we eat 1,200 calories and we do cardio
That's
until
right.
the cows come home and then the weight comes back on. I now eat way more than I ever did.
Yes.
And I weigh less than I ever did now,
Yeah.
because my metabolism works now. It's been healed.
Rebooted. It's been rebooted.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Well,
has.
and I think people don't realize that when you get yourself back into the groove of working out and push yourself in that workout, you will reboot your metabolism. And it's
Yeah.
really amazing to do.
It is.
I remember when I was racing, I ate so much food all the time. And I would come home, I would wake up in the middle of the night and have a bowl of cereal because I'd be starving.
Yeah.
Because I would have burned that many calories, my
Right,
body.
right.
And that was in my 50s. So let's be
Yeah.
clear that I was already perimenopausal or maybe even postmenopausal at that point. And I think, we forget that the body, remember, the brain is malleable. It's plastic. You can
Yeah.
trick it. You can trick your brain to believing
Yeah.
anything.
I know.
So that's the fun part. Trick it into
Yeah.
believing that you are capable, which you are, and competent and confident. All these
Right.
things that matter.
Right. And Patty, when I go and look at my before and after pictures, and I've got a lot. And actually, when I started feeling great, amazing, I would have my husband Paul take pictures of me on the beach or whatever. And we moved to where we are now on the East Coast, on the Atlantic Ocean. And I think it was maybe 4 months into my fitness journey, we went to the beach and I'm like, oh, take pictures of me in my bathing suit. I was just felt so fantastic. And I didn't look at those pictures until a year ago. And I looked like a chunky monkey. I was
well, that's how it is,
But
right.
I felt so great. And I didn't, at the time, I didn't look at those pictures and say, God, you're not in shape yet. Because within myself, I was already who I am now. I was like,
that's so great.
There was no self-censure. There was no self-loathing. There was no, I remember losing weight in my 40s. It was because it was a story. It was at a seminar actually. And I had given a talk and I went to the pool and I was laying by the pool. And this very attractive man who was also at the seminar came up just to tell me how much I loved or how much he loved my talk. And I'm in my bathing suit and I'm like embarrassed that my thighs are so lumpy and this attractive man. And he wasn't coming on to me. He was just, we were having a normal conversation.
Yeah. But your self-talk was out of control.
My God. I'm like, my thigh.
Oh my God. Well, and I think we spend so much time and energy, worrying about what we look like.
Oh, it's
and instead of putting that energy into loving and caring for who we are, we are,
And then how we look does change. I don't even look like the same person I did 2 years ago.
No, you really don't. You don't. I mean, honestly, you, and no offense, but you looked very frumpy back then. You look alive and vibrant now.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of it. If you're feeling the frump, just know that that's something you can dump. You can dump the frump. Dump the frump and go out and that's going to be your tagline. But I love this. Now you So every day when you get up, you go to the gym and you work out day in, day out. That's what you say. But also, what do you do in terms of your meditation, or your terms of food? What kinds of things do you do to keep your whole life in balance?
Yeah, well, the meditation part, I've had a practice I've done since I was 17. And you don't do things for that long in life unless they work, right?
Right,
Unless they
right.
work, and they work powerfully. And it's chanting it's known as an ancient name for God, Hu. When I lived in Saudi Arabia, I met women who were Sufis who knew all about chanting this word.
Yeah.
And I found out over the years that many religions and cultures are aware of this mantra, this ancient mantra. So I learned about it when I was 17, and I just sing it like most people that know about Om.
Yes.
You just sing Hu, and Hu is just in a long drawn out breath, like Hu. And I put my attention right here in my third eye, or where my imagination is. And I really try and empty myself of, thoughts, and just try and fill myself with love, even if or gratitude. And it just takes me to a completely different place. And my next 24 hours is like this, very even, almost like blood sugar when you eat the right food. It's just
That's
smooth
fantastic.
sailing,
I love
and
that.
the other thing it does, Patty, is it clears out my thought stream. So we all know that if we look at the news, or we have a upsetting experience, or something happens, it's kind of like also just news itself, negativity. We're throwing junk in our thought stream, and we get affected by that. And so the Hu, when I sing Hu, this ancient mantra, what it does, it purifies my thought stream. It's kind of like standing on a bridge and watching my thoughts kind of go down. And sometimes there's a lot of junk in there. And then all of a sudden with the Hu, it just becomes this crystal clear flowing water. And I feel very removed from worry and care, and things get surrendered. And I just feel like a new person. And that helps me stay positive, and also not fall into these negative traps of self-talk, negative self-talk, or guilting myself. Or even what it's helped me do is build healthy boundaries around myself emotionally, for people even in my family that just where the relationships are toxic. So without hurting, without hurting anybody's feelings, or having some big, brouhaha. It seems like chanting this word just gently opens these doors to a life that has meaning, where I can also serve. I really think it's why I have so many followers on Instagram, because I meant to share this. It's not a monetized Instagram. And I don't know who my followers are, but I absolutely adore them. I love them.
And you really engage with them. They write such amazing things to you. It's not shallow. They write like long paragraphs to you about what's going on. And I love that. I love reading through them and seeing what people are connecting with, because, I think in the world today, wouldn't you agree that people really want to find connection with something meaningful? And they want to feel good about who they are and what they're doing in their lives. And that, I think this is a beautiful way of serving and sharing this whole journey. I mean, I love this, that you have done this and transformed. And so what would you say to people, in anybody who wants to make a kind of change? What's a change tip? What would you say to them if they want to change any part of their life, and particularly in this fitness space? What would you say to them if they were just sitting in the room and they said, what do I do? How can I, do this?
Yeah, well, mostly women our age are the ones that want to know and are inspired by this journey. So I would say prioritize yourself. Just make yourself number one, because you can't do anything for anybody unless you take care of yourself first. And as women, I think we are taught and brought up to be the caretakers, and many
right.
women that are married and had children and whatever, I mean, they're just motherhood. I mean, you and I, we've not had children except fur babies, but we have a lot of friends that have children, and
Yes.
it is like an incredible job.
Yeah,
And
it is.
I just feel like women give their all in that job. And when the kids grow up and there's empty nests, it's like, I think some women have a hard time saying, I'm first now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
first. So I would say how to start, make yourself number one. And you can still be a mom at home with kids and do that. Your
Yes.
kids will appreciate it because you'll be feeling better.
And you'll
You
be
know-
demonstrating for them how to do it for themselves, so that
Right.
it's important to take care of yourself first and then
Right.
serve other people. I love that.
Exactly.
This has been so inspiring. It's just really, I mean, I'm totally motivated now. As soon as I'm done with this podcast, I'm going to get on my bike and go ride, because, you know, there's nothing more joyous than being in your body fully and
It's
feeling the
true.
experience. There's something about it that you just can't describe. So thank you so much for sharing everything with us. I'm going to have you back on the show, because we have to go into much more detail about other things. But for today, I just want to say thank you so much, Julia, for everything that you taught us today and shared with us about change and what you've been able to do.
Oh, Patty, thank you. Well, you know, we're on the same wavelength where that's concerned. We
Yeah, for
understand
sure.
These principles that you and I both use in our lives, and you're just a super dear friend, and I love you.
Yeah, well, I love you too. And everybody, please follow Julia at Dolphining on Instagram. That's a place where you can see what she's up to. It's amazing. I'll put some more in the show notes for all of you. And, you know, if you like this podcast and you think it was interesting, you know, put some notes in the DM me and forward it to your friends so everybody can hear about her. And I just thank you again for being here. And everybody who's tuning in right now, thank you so much for taking the time. We love you. Go out and be your best self and, you know, up your creative genius. Right, Julia?
Right. Woohoo!